Okay, I have been waiting for this one since it was first announced. In this little package here, I have got the TRIMUI brick. Let's open it up and take a look. Got this from Lit NXT. It arrived today while I was at work. Couldn't wait to get home and have a look. It appears to be very well packed. Always got to be careful doing these things, particularly when you're excited, because you don't want to damage anything. Let's see what we've got in the package. We've got a carry case. We've got the console itself. And we'll just pop those to one side. Didn't know I was going to be getting a carry case, so that's a nice bonus. I do love a carry case. It's kind of a blessing and a curse sometimes, because once things are sitting in a carry case, I kind of forget they exist, so out of sight, out of mind. But luckily, there's the branding on there to remind me what's in there. This looks very similar to the case that I got with the TRIMUI Smart Pro, obviously. The scale of it, the Smart Pro, is quite a bit bigger than this console. It's a different deal, really, this one, but we'll see that when we open it up. There's a few things that I thought this would offer. There's a few things that I wasn't expecting, but we'll just open up and take a look. I do like the boxes for the TRIMUI products. They're like quite nice sharp edges on the lids. Everything fits together neatly. Oh, and look at this. We've got some Christmas stickers in there too. That's a very neat fit inside the box, isn't it? We've also got the Lit NXT sticker. Thank you very much to Lit NXT for rushing this out to me as soon as they could. I'm thrilled to be able to try it out. There are two SD cards in here, one of which is the stock OS that's just on an unbranded 128 gig SD card, but also we've got a SanDisk card included in here, and this one has CrossMix OS on there. CrossMix has been developed mainly for the TRIMUI Smart Pro, this thing here. They have come up with a kind of slightly modified version which should work well on this console, so that's good to know. I've also got some additional shoulder buttons which we'll take a look at in a little bit. And we've got the console itself, which appears to be upside down, so let's just whiz that the right way up. Try and get that out of the vacuum formed case at the bottom. And take a look. So I had the choice of the black or white, and it was so difficult because they both looked really nice. After I'd requested the white, I wasn't sure, and I was having second thoughts, but now I'm getting out of the box. It's right, it's definitely more my style. I find black consoles often are like quite bad fingerprint magnets, and I end up getting fingerprints, greasy palms all over everything, so white should be better for that. It is a really clean looking design. There's a lot of inspiration, shall we call it, borrowed from this console here, the Analog Pocket. And when it was first announced, I thought it was going to be like a budget version of the Analog Pocket. I had no idea that the scale would be so different. Looking at them side by side, there is a lot of similarity. Look at the arrangement of the three buttons at the bottom there, the D-pad. Yeah, we've got the additional kind of start, select, light up buttons there, but the positioning of the logo in that particular spot there. And then if we look at the side, that you've got the kind of, on the plastic versions of the Analog Pocket, you have like the contrasting light coloured button like we've got there. There are definite similarities, the way that the lines are kind of moulded into the back there, but that's no bad thing. This is, you know, the Analog Pocket is a gorgeous console. The execution of the buttons, not as much of a fan of, but I do love this thing. It is a really, really nice console. The design, the aesthetics of it are nice, but the inspiration drawn to this and then done something so small kind of caught me off guard. When I saw the original pictures, I wasn't expecting it to be that smaller scale. It's actually much more similar to this thing here, the Mio Mini Plus. If you look at the dimensions of those side by side, there's a lot more in common with those consoles. Now, this is just going to be an initial kind of first impressions video. I just could not wait to get it open and take a look. That's what this video is going to be, just my initial thoughts, and then I'm going to spend a bit more time with it and put a video together that does more of an in-depth review. However, when I got the Smart Pro, I spent quite a lot of time playing and testing, and it was quite a while before I got a video out, so I definitely wanted to get something out here, really, because this is within that kind of budget that you might want to kind of get it as a Christmas gift or something like that. That time is coming soon, and I'm wondering, I get the feeling this could be a really, really good Christmas present, a sort of not too expensive but quite fun console. It's got a metal back here, which has got like a printed, possibly laser engraved logo on the back of it there, designed by TRIMUI, made in China. These shoulder buttons are interchangeable. As I say, I've got some clear ones there, and there's more in the bottom of the box here too. So lots of different ones that we can try out. Also in the box is a USB A to C cable for charging. Is there anything underneath here? No, that's all glued in the bottom, so that's fine. There is an instruction manual, which I will take a look at later if I need to, but we'll see how we get on in the first place. We'll just pop these bits to one side. I think we'll try out the stock OS first, and then we'll put the CrossMix OS on there and see what we think. So the original SD card that came with it is here, if I can get it open. So we've got SD card slot on the bottom and a USB-C port for charging. There is a reset button there, a microphone, I'm assuming that's the similar sort of placement for the microphone on the Smart Pro, and a headphone socket there. At the top there is another USB-C socket, that's for connecting it to external devices. I think possibly like external storage if you're running games from an external USB device, or an external controller if you're playing with a USB controller. So this one here will be used for charging, and the SD card will just slot in here. So we'll take that, get it in position. I always get these the wrong way around. There we go, slide that in there. Give it a squidge. Hopefully that will just click in position. Yeah, so we've got the plus and minus, which is largely for the volume. On the Smart Pro, if you hold the start button, that will change the brightness. We'll see if it does the same thing. We've also got the FN button. You can use that for various different functions. On the Smart Pro, I used it for switching the LEDs on or off, because there are LEDs around the joysticks with that one. Little side-by-side comparison there. Obviously, there's quite a difference in terms of the size of the screen on this one. This is much more compact. I mean, it's lovely. It really is. A lot of the time you'll get these things that kind of emulate the original Game Boy. I love the original Game Boy, but it is quite a dated, old school style, old school design. The more modern aesthetics of the Analog Pocket shrunk down to a form factor like this. It is very promising, and I appreciate I've not even switched it on yet, and some of you are probably screaming at me to actually switch it on and try it out. So that is what I am going to do now. Power button, as I say, in that contrasting turquoise colour on the side there. We'll press and hold to switch on, and then we'll see what happens. So logo's coming up on screen there. Oh, and then we've got the LEDs lighting up there. There's a nice soft glow to those. This takes me back to the LEDs that were on the Smart Pro going around the joystick. I thought that they might be a bit much, a bit bright, a bit distracting. These have got a nice soft glow to them, so that's okay. It loads us up into Bomberman Collection. A lot of the menus and things are in Chinese. The sound is working. Let's just turn that down a little bit. And if we go up to the top, that'll take us through other menus. So we're in the collections section at the moment there. Then we've got the different consoles, and then we've got what looks like ports there. We've got Balatro on there. That is going to be really hard to see on this little tiny screen. But the layout here is not too bad. I've been spoiled because I was introduced to the Smart Pro with CrossMix OS, which is brilliant. So we'll have a quick look through what we've got here. We go into the different consoles. We're going to say Atari Lynx, and then we've got different games. As you scroll to the games, you've got the box artwork there, and there's a selection of loads of different games to have a look at there. If we go on to like our Dreamcast, what have we got in there? Quite a few different games in there. Should be good fun to have a play around on. And then, interestingly, like a lot of the time when you go on, let's see how it is on Game Boy, we've got like Donkey Kong Land, Double Dragon. Oh, so it's got Zelda on there. It's got Mega Man. There's quite a selection of consoles. I wouldn't quite a selection of games, not consoles. I wonder if the shoulder buttons kind of, yeah, they cycle through a little more quickly. But these are numbered, so it's kind of tricky to find the game that you want. It seems like they're alphabetical, but having the numbers at the beginning means that they are in a specific order. I'm just checking to see if it's got like Super Mario Land on there. So we've got Super James Pond, Speedy Gonzales. So yeah, it's always conspicuous that there are certain games missing. Has it got Tetris on there? Appears not. Okay, so that's the stock OS, and it's got, again, something I'll go into more detail with when I do my more in-depth review. But for now, I am just going to switch off because I really want to see what they've done with CrossMix OS. I could do with figuring out the language. I'm assuming that's asking, do I want to switch off? And I'll go there. Seems to be shutting down. That's okay. Give that time to switch off. And I've still got the actual screen protector on there, not like a permanent protector, not like one of the sort of glass ones you can get. It's just the film that goes over the top. So I'm going to peel that off. It's a bit awkward to get at because it's just above the D-pad, and I clipped my nails yesterday. There we go. So yeah, the screen goes all the way up to the edges there. There is a bezel to it, but then this thing has got quite a pronounced bezel. That seems to be a bit more subtle, so we should be okay. I'm going to take out that SD card if I can. Not always easy to get these out with the sprung release catch. There we go. And we've got the SanDisk card that was provided by Lit NXT that has the CrossMix OS on it, which I have absolutely fallen in love with that operating system. I think it's a fantastic interface on the Smart Pro. I've been playing, even after I did my video and put the review out, I've been playing on the Smart Pro all the time. Just so many games I've played through on it. I am really, really enjoying it. So with this having CrossMix OS on there, I'm quite excited. I didn't hold the power button for long enough. That's good. You know, if you're taking this out and about and you've got it in your pocket or anything like that, you're not going to accidentally switch it on unless you've got it in sleep mode maybe. There we go. That's loading up there. And we'll get the same sort of boot up. I do like that kind of slow glow with the LEDs as they're coming on. I think on the camera it's picking up as quite a blue colour. Looking at it here, it's much more of a green sort of turquoise sort of thing. So it has to install CrossMix OS. We've got version 1.3.9 on there. And we'll just wait for that to install while we admire the rest of this console. We have actually got LEDs built into the rest of it. You can see that there's a corresponding light on top here. And there are lights underneath the shoulder buttons there too. Now that's where the advantage of having the clear buttons, now where have I put everything? I think that's all still in the box, isn't it? So as well as having the kind of shoulder buttons in different shapes, which is good. You can kind of arrange them depending on what you like or what your preference is of how they feel. However, having the clear buttons means that the LEDs will all light up, so we'll take a little look at them in a bit. Right, this is much more what I'm familiar with in terms of what I played with on the Smart Pro. I'm just going to turn the volume down a little bit. So we've got it laid out. Again, this is all in Chinese, so I'm going to have to try and figure out how to change my language settings. Now that's where this is going to come in quite handy, isn't it? Because I've got my Smart Pro here, come out of here, go up to the top, and we'll go into settings, system, language. Right, so if we've got a similar kind of setup here, shoulder buttons, we'll cycle through the options. We're on the menu there, settings. Fortunately, when you go into language, it's got the English language there. So we'll go on language. There we go. Now that is all right. So thank you very much. Having CrossMix OS on both made it much easier to find my way through. And now when I come out of here, everything across the top, we've got settings, netplay, apps, games, best, recent, favorites. I haven't obviously got any on there at the moment. But this operating system is really, really nice. I think it's one of the biggest reasons why I'm such a fan of the Smart Pro. But as I said, when I did my Smart Pro review, I'm not really used to this kind of landscape form factor. I know a lot of people love it. But I'm much more of I was raised on Game Boys, and I got really into doing music on Game Boys as well. I have always had that kind of vertical form factor. That's always what I'm a fan of. I'm finding that my fingers are nestling quite nicely into the position for the shoulder buttons. It is quite comfortable to hold. As I said, the direct comparison, which I absolutely love, is the Miyoo Mini Plus, and it's feeling yeah, by comparison, this feels much, much nicer. This kind of flat metal surface that your fingers, it kind of rests on your fingers there. The buttons feel pretty well positioned. Everything feels very comfortable. And then there's the rounded edge here. When I pick this up by comparison, it feels very, this is made out of plastic, but this feels much more plasticky. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it feels really solid. It feels really well built, and I think that having this metal sheet there maybe helps with the rigidity a bit. I think that having the LEDs here and here and here is quite a nice touch there. Working our way through here, I don't know how the vertical shmups are going to work, because when I'm playing them on the Smart Pro, I can have it on its end with the D-pad. No, it's this way, isn't it? Yeah, I can have it that way with the buttons for firing and the analog stick for controlling. I think it might be like you turn it on its side here, you use that for moving, and it might be like fire with those. It might be set to auto fire, but anyway. So collections are the same as I've got on CrossMix OS on the Smart Pro. Loads of games to try out there. Pokemon Classics Collection, Mario Collection, Sonic, Turtles, yeah, all very legit. And then we've got a variety of old school consoles like the Amstrad CPC, the Amiga that I had a lot of fun with on the other consoles. I love how the background changes to an image of whatever console or computer it is. We'll go through, let's see, what should we play first? Well, we'll take a little look at what's actually in there, seeing as it is really emulating a Game Boy. We'll go down here. And we'll grab onto Tetris if it's in there, because it wasn't on the stock SD card, so we'll have a little check and see if that's on there. From when I got the card, so there's a 128GB loaded card from Lit NXT. This had, yeah, so on the Smart Pro and on this as well, it had Super Mario Land 2 and so on, Super RC Pro Am. Get down to T, we've got Tetris 2, the USA version, got the Super Game Boy Enhanced version, Tetris Attack. So yeah, there is plenty to get stuck into there. Load up that one, and fairly quick, it's already set. Seems to be a little stretched across the screen there. Maybe if I change the settings, I could get it more to the original aspect ratio. But what I'm going through here is I'm not going to faff about with menus. I'm terrible for faffing around with menus and then losing where I'm up to. So we'll have a quick go and see how it is to play. And then D-pad feels pretty good so far. I mean, let's have a side-by-side comparison, because although I loved the Smart Pro, the D-pad was its shortcoming for me, and I've ended up using the analog stick more. But this is quite different. It's much flatter. It's definitely a little softer on the edges. It's not got sharp edges, and it is small, and the buttons are small. But on a smaller console, that kind of works. Let's just have a quick jump straight in. Level 9 high 5. Let's see how it performs. There is a little bit of resistance to the D-pad. I mean, I suppose it will break in as well as I go along, but it feels good. It feels responsive. Anyway, I mean, it does feel pretty good. It's very responsive. I'm not getting any dodgy directional inputs. Everything's feeling really solid. That's all okay. So yeah, I mean, Tetris is the game that I always go to just because I know it so well. Not that you'd think it to watch me playing now, but that's great, and that feels really responsive. And even though the image is slightly stretched, it didn't bother me while I was playing. So we've got 3 buttons across the bottom. We've got those 2 as well. I'm not sure on the function of each. Let's see if that functions as like a start button. Doesn't seem to respond. Woo! Okay, something just happened with the lights now, and they've gone off. And now they're flashing. Oh, I've messed something up. Is that going for like a... I should have left well alone, shouldn't I? So that cycles through the different colours, it seems, because it goes like orange, purple. I like the light blue. And then maybe if I press and hold that, it sets them again. I don't know. They're lit up on the back, but not on the front. So this is where the instructions come in handy, really, isn't it? But we'll come back to that. Let's press the home button and we can exit the game. And then that'll take us back to the main menu. We'll have a quick look through a few other consoles. Game Boy Color, there's some hacks on there as well. So you could play Super Mario Land DX. We'll load that one up and take a look. Over in this corner, it's quite small, but you've got the box art on there as well. Again, it does feel a little stretched. I'd probably change that. So I wouldn't mind having the borders down the side and getting it just right, but we can start there. It looks good, like the screen is very nice, and considering it is stretched slightly, it looks really clean on the image that's on screen there. The sound is good. Actually, I hadn't even mentioned, it's got stereo speakers on the front. Traditionally, your Game Boy, it's got the speaker down here. A lot of the time, these things will fire out the back. The Analog Pocket has speakers on the side there, so that's got stereo sound. But this one, like right at you there, and positioned quite cleverly. Look at that. Look at how I'm holding it. And neither speaker is obscured by my thumb. So, yeah, quite happy with that. Again, this D-pad feels great. Buttons feel really good, actually. Now, I'm not using the shoulder buttons on any of these, so let's come out and find a game that's going to use the shoulder buttons a little bit more. So we'll just exit game there. We'll come out and we'll go on Game Boy Advance. Hacks. Now, I'm going on hacks because if it includes Metroid Zero Mission Deep Freeze, I've been playing on the Smart Pro the last week or so, and it's a really good fun game. I do think they kind of, as quickly as possible, got CrossMix OS working on this console, and I think it's not as perfectly optimized at the moment as it was for the Smart Pro. So there's a few of the things in terms of the display don't quite look perfect, but I will spend some time tinkering about with that, getting it just right for me. But on the whole, it's looking really good. The bezel around the edge, they are quite small borders, particularly given the fact it comes right up to the edge there. Let's just see if the same applies as it did on the Smart Pro. So the volume is controlled on the side there, going louder, quieter, but if you hold the start button, that will increase or decrease the brightness. Now that seems to be doing the volume, doesn't it? So I will investigate that in terms of the brightness. We'll start a new file, alleviate boredom, normal setting, and then we'll just mainly to check how the shoulder buttons perform, because you use those quite a bit with Metroid. But this is a custom hack of Metroid Zero Mission, and it's loads of fun, so definitely worth checking out, along with Spooky Mission, which I was talking about on my last video. If you're shooting or you're firing your rockets, your shoulder buttons there, that's okay. And to change your direction, the shoulder buttons are there. I'd say that's pretty good. It's quite comfortable. Yeah, they're feeling pretty good. I do like how this lights up here. Let's just try popping it into sleep mode. So on the Smart Pro, you just tap the side there and it goes into sleep mode. That was pretty much instant. And then let's see how quickly it comes back on. Straight away. And it puts you onto the same, like, if I was in here and I press the home button, it brings up this menu where you can continue. You can do, for example, a save state. So I can just, you get 10 save state slots where you can save your stuff there. Or you can load from a save state, or there's advanced menus and so on. Or you can exit the game. Now, if I've just got this as standard when I go into sleep mode and then I come back out of sleep mode, this is quite good because it means it's not dropping you into the middle of a boss battle or something like that. You get a moment to gather your thoughts. So yeah, that's pretty good. I appear to have got my coloured lights back on the front there as well. This is lovely. This is really, really nice. Right, let's just, again, pop into sleep mode and then investigate these. Now, I've seen other people have had issues with trying to figure out how you're supposed to remove these shoulder buttons. The beauty of this for a lot of people is that you don't have to open it up. I like opening things up, so I'm not usually averse to that. But it is quite nice to know that you can just, in theory, now this feels a bit scary, in theory you can just pull these buttons off. I've got a soft mouse mat here on the surface, by the way, because I would always... I would always be careful, he says, flicking one of the buttons across his desk. But I would always be careful of, you know, the front surface of a console when you're putting it down. So a cheap mouse mat from Asda is fantastic for just putting my consoles down on and and getting those in place. So yeah, just a little bit of careful pressure to lift these up. They come off quite easily, but they don't feel like that they would drop off. So we'll get the clear ones out. So we've got the buttons in various different shapes. So there's like a gradual raise to a slope there. There is one that's a bit sort of flatter, and there's one that's quite an exaggerated slope to try out, but I wanted to try out these clear ones because that will really stand out in terms of the LEDs. So that was my L1, so I've got my L2 there, and just slide that in. And before I put the other side on, we'll switch on and just be able to do like a side-by-side comparison. Obviously these are a different shape button. I've only got the one shape in the clear plastic, but I'm not sure. I actually really like how these feel. I thought the sharp edge might be a little less comfortable rather than the rounded edge, but you get a decent amount of purchase on those, so quite happy with that. But let's just have a look how they are with the LEDs. So straight back on, we've got an LED strip across the top there. There is a very slight gap. Like, this does appear to be very well made, but it does look like there is a very slight gap between the LED cover and the case itself. If I apply a bit of pressure there, it kind of goes in place and then separates ever so slightly. I don't know whether if I nip up that screw at some point, it might pull it in a little bit more. I don't want to force anything or break it. Speaking of the screws, it looks like you just need a hex key to get this open, so that's pretty straightforward. I like this branding that they have with the 3 hexagons, and they've got that kind of inlaid in there. It's subtly branded into the D-pad or into the home button and things like that. And if we look here, let's turn a few lights off. You can see that the LEDs are a bit more visible through the buttons. I thought the subtle glow beneath the standard ones actually looks pretty cool, but yeah, I like this a lot. So we'll get my light back on, and we'll just pop off these other 2 buttons. So they just slide upwards. You just get kind of a fingernail underneath there. I think for the wider one, 2 fingers might work best, and then pop those safely to one side and put our new clear shoulder buttons in place there. In terms of modding, I don't even know if you'd class it as a mod, but if you like tinkering with things, this is a nice gateway drug into like your Game Boy mods and things like that. In terms of fitting a USB-C cable in there, it seems like a bit of a tight gap. Let's see if I've got one. Let's see if I've got one kicking around. Yes, I have, because there was one in the box, wasn't there? I'm just excited. It's been a long day, and this was quite cool to come home to. So yeah, that will just plug in there, and there is sufficient clearance either side of the buttons there, so that's okay. And then just carefully remove that from the top there. Plugging in, that felt a bit tight there on the USB-C. And that there, you push and then it kind of clicks into position and then clicks back out. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the clear shoulder buttons. I like those, but I will try out all the others when I do my review in a bit more detail. All I'm going to do now is let's try out a different console before I sign off for this video. Exit the game. I do love the CrossMix OS, and it seems to have been nicely implemented here. In terms of CrossMix, you've got like here, you've got like each console, you can see what the console looks like as you're scrolling through, but there are lots of different themes for this that'll give a different appearance each time. I'm not sure if I'd play things like N64 games or Dreamcast games and things that would normally use an analog stick. I think this is definitely going to be more used for my Game Boy games. Neo Geo Pocket Color will be great. PC Engine should be fantastic on here. We've got ports, we've got PlayStation, we've got PSP. I'm not sure how that's going to cope because the Smart Pro didn't cope great with that. I think for things like Master System, Game Gear, Mega Drive, you've got like WonderSwan, you've got Supervision. Spectrum is on there as well, ZX Spectrum. Spectrum re-release has come out recently. I'm quite intrigued by that. I might pick one of those up and take a look at it soon as well. Maybe we'll get that one for Christmas, but this definitely feels like a great Christmas present. PlayStation, like, don't forget the original PlayStation launched without analog sticks. So if we have a... No, I did Tony Hawk on my last video, so I'll maybe do that on my other review. Neo Geo Pocket. Neo Geo I think should be pretty good fun on there too. What we'll do is we'll take a look at Super Nintendo and see how that goes. Again, we've got some hacks in there, but I'm going to go through the list and see what else. One thing about CrossMix, which I think hopefully they will optimize a little bit, is that the preview screenshots are tiny there. We've got a lot of space. It'd be quite nice to have a bit more space taken up with those. But again, I'll have a tinker in the settings and see what I can do. Let's skip through a little bit. Again, shoulder buttons and nice light. Look at that. Yeah, again, let's get the lights off there. That is nice. I mean, there's a line to tread with these things between them being tasteful or tacky. I really, really like this, particularly where we've got that kind of turquoise power button to match that. And with the white, I thought the white might look a bit boring. It doesn't. It looks lovely. I was having second thoughts, thinking maybe I should have got the black. This is really nice. Anyway, let's choose a game and have a quick look. It's like the Netflix syndrome. You never end up actually playing anything because you're too busy just going through and seeing what games are in there and choosing. There is a great variety of games to play here. Did I spot Parodius? I did. Let's have a go at that then. So in terms of loading the games, it seems to be relatively quick. There we go. Now games like this, it's got a 4:3 screen, so things like Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, NES, they are going to look really, really nice on here. This is a really colourful game, so it should be quite a good way to check it out. So I'll get my lights back on. I don't want to turn them off to show off the LEDs, but even in bright lights, the LEDs show up okay, but they are definitely in no way distracting. I'll have to find out what these buttons do, but my home button, my start and select buttons are all still down here anyway. See, I ended up, even for like the shoot 'em up games, I ended up going to the analog stick on the Smart Pro, but this feels good. It feels comfortable. It's not kind of feeling like it's cutting into my thumbs or anything like that. It's smooth enough on the edges. It's very responsive. It's got a nice degree of pivot to it. I think this could end up being a favourite D-pad. In terms of the false diagonals, I'm not really getting any issues in terms of that. Bad at the game though, but yeah. Let's have a little look at something that might be a little too demanding for it, just to get a feel for what that's like. So we'll go on Nintendo 64. I'll see if Mario Kart works okay on it, because I tried out Wave Race and it just really was struggling on the Smart Pro. And then after I'd made the video, I did a bit of testing with Mario Kart and it managed okay. So we'll try it on here. Obviously, I'm working with a D-pad and there's a few buttons that might have been replaced, like maybe some of your yellow buttons on the controller might be worked with on here, but we'll find out. Like the sound a little choppy there, it is struggling to keep up, but it should hopefully be playable. So obviously it's going to be a little twitchy with the D-pad instead of an analog stick. Okay, so your two shoulder buttons working pretty well. One for doing your little hop, and the one slightly further in for activating your power-ups. This is absolutely playable, and this screen is really pretty nice. I'm liking this. Okay, so that is a quick look at the TRIMUI brick. I think this is a contender to become quite possibly, I mean, maybe speaking a bit soon, but it feels like this could become a favourite. It's got everything that I like about these handhelds. I love the CrossMix OS. It's got that built into it. The screen is good. The controls are comfortable. It's got the vertical form factor. It is very sleek and portable. It's much flatter on the back than the, you know, the way that kind of sticks out a little bit, and the sort of curves and bumps to that. I think I think elegance is the word I'm looking for. It's a bit more of an elegant design than what is effectively a console that I always recommend when people say, you know, I'm thinking of getting one of these emulator consoles, which one should I get? I always say the Mio Mini Plus. This feels like an evolution of that design. It's like they've taken the Mio Mini Plus but they've looked at the aesthetics of the analog pocket, and what we've ended up with is something that really promises to be a proper contender for the Miyoo Mini Plus's throne. So I am quite excited about that. I am going to go away and do a bit more testing with it. I did want to share my initial thoughts with you on it, and I'll be honest, like normally I'm quite vulnerable. If I am excited about something, if I think something is going to be great, I'm quite easily disappointed because my expectations are already up here and all I can get is little nitpicks that kind of disappoint me. There is nothing on this so far that I'm feeling negative about. I wasn't sure how the ergonomics would be. They feel really comfortable. I wasn't sure how the LEDs were going to look in the flesh. They look really nice. I wasn't sure if it was going to be fiddly, swapping over these shoulder buttons. It was very straightforward, but also, like, once they're on, they feel nice and sturdy. It is a lovely piece of kit. This could well be the one to get if you're looking at getting one of these for Christmas. Just to have a bit of a play around on. I think this could be great. It is on the Lit NXT website at the moment. They are selling quite fast. They've currently got a Black Friday deal on. I don't know if I'll get this video out in time for sharing that with you, but if I do, it'll be on the description. Also, I've got an affiliate link that you can check out if you are buying from Lit NXT, and there's a discount code Joe Bleeps will get you 10% off as well. There are other places where you can buy these too, but with Lit NXT you can get them with the CrossMix OS bundled in as well, with all the games and everything else. It makes a really good package. If you enjoy setting up all your own ROMs and customizing and all of that sort of thing, then maybe that's not for you. But if you just want to start playing, oh, that CrossMix card is fantastic. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to spend a bit more time playing on that, and I'll put a more in-depth, detailed review for you soon. Bearing that in mind, if you have any questions about this, now's the time to ask. Ask me in the comments and I'll address those in my full review. I did a video about the Smart Pro a little while ago. I'm going to link that up at the top there if you want to check that out and then do a little bit more of your own comparisons between the two. I am a huge fan of the Smart Pro. Love it. And as I say, I think I might have a new favourite here. Tell me what you think in the comments. If there's anything you want to know to feature in the next video, let me know. Oh, I'm looking forward to going and playing this. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.